Imagine sitting alone in your room, the night outside growing darker, your phone in hand, and a thought creeping into your mind that you've heard 100 times before but never fully listened to. Just one more video, just a little more scrolling, and then I'll stop. I promise myself that every night, thinking I have control, thinking I can handle it. But deep down, you know the truth isn't that simple. You know that what starts as a quick glance, a harmless scroll, turns into hours lost in a dark spiral that leaves your heart heavy and your soul aching. If you've ever felt this way, if you've ever caught yourself in that cycle, then what I'm about to share with you might just be the turning point. It might finally wake you up, because what you're about to hear could change your life, your perspective, and your relationship with Allah forever. I urge you, stay with me. And if you believe in the power of Allah's mercy, comment, "I love Allah," below. Let's build a community rooted in faith, honesty, and the desire to transform. Lust, the hidden enemy that quietly takes over your heart, is not just a sin. It is a trap woven into the fabric of our modern lives, a trap that most don't even realize they're caught in until it's too late. And if you're tired of feeling distant from Allah, tired of feeling like your faith is slipping through your fingers, then what I'm about to tell you might just be the awakening you need. This is not about shame, it's about truth. It's about understanding what's really happening inside you and learning how to break free from the chains that keep your heart bound. Because you are not a failure. You are not inherently bad. You are simply stuck. And Allah sees you. He knows your struggles, your fears, your silent cries for help. And He has given us guidance, light, and a way out. But first, you need to recognize the enemy within. Let's start with the first truth. The desires you have justified are the chains that you are now dragging behind you. It doesn't happen overnight. Lust doesn't suddenly take over your life in one moment. No, it starts small, subtly, quietly. Maybe it's a post on social media that you told yourself was harmless. Maybe it's a fleeting crush that you dismissed as innocent. Perhaps it's a thought you told yourself to brush off because it's not that serious. But the problem is, these small acts, these little justifications, they are seeds planted deep inside your heart. What begins as something minor, something you tell yourself you can handle, gradually grows until it becomes a chain you're unable to break. You see, lust is like a slow poison. It doesn't come in with a bang. Instead, it seeps into your life gradually, conditioning your mind and rewiring your brain. It trains you to normalize what once made you flinch, the reel you saw that made your heart race, the flirt that left a bad taste but felt so tempting, the quick thought that you brushed aside. All of these are part of a process. Over time, your brain adapts, rewiring itself to crave pixels instead of real connection, instant gratification instead of genuine love. You stop reacting to real moments of beauty and dignity. Your focus shifts. Your heart becomes numb to the true signs of Allah's creation. Think about it. When you're in salah and your mind is racing, your tears don't come as easily as they once did. The Qur'an feels distant. The words on the page no longer hit your soul with the same power. That's not because you no longer care. It's because your brain has been rewired by the constant bombardment of lustful images and thoughts. Your neural pathways have been reshaped to seek escape, to chase fleeting pleasures, to avoid true connection. That flood of dopamine that once came from meaningful interaction has been hijacked, replaced by pixels, by screens, by fleeting virtual touches that leave your heart feeling emptier than ever. Muna'at sahim, witt lahdinam. And here's the terrifying truth. Allah warns us in a verse that hits harder than any punishment. When you follow your desire blindly, heedless of His guidance, you're not just indulging in a sin. You are building a habit that will eventually become your default. The verse compares following desire to taking a path that leads away from Allah. It's a slow, subtle drift. It whispers to you just a little more, just a bit further. It's not about outright rebellion at first. No, it begins with a whisper, a suggestion that sounds noble. It's a glance, a moment of curiosity, a testing of boundaries. The Shayṭān, the whisperer, doesn't start with a blatant lie. He starts with a seemingly innocent question. Shall I show you the tree of eternity? Would you like a kingdom that will never decay? He offers you temporary gain, a taste of power, a fleeting sense of growth. And because the ego loves to be challenged, to feel in control, you listen. You tell yourself you can handle it, that you're strong enough. But that's the trap. Because what begins as a test quickly becomes a trap. You drift from intention to curiosity, from just looking to scrolling endlessly, from guilt to numbness. And the worst part? Shaitan doesn't need to force you. He simply plants the seed of doubt, the suggestion that you're okay, that you're in control, but you are not. The verse warns us that we should not follow in the footsteps of Shaitan, because Shaitan's footsteps are subtle. He doesn't come with a giant sign saying sin lies ahead. No, he tiptoes quietly, whispering these small, seemingly harmless suggestions. And if your resistance weakens, if your standards start to shift, if your own justification begins to sound smarter than your faith, then you need to pause. You need to ask yourself, whose voice am I following right now? Because sometimes that voice isn't even yours. It's Shaitan's. It's the whisper that makes haram feel acceptable, that makes you believe you're in control when really you're just being led further away from Allah. And then there's the next stage. The moment you try to numb the fire inside you by feeding it, whether it's boredom, loneliness, or stress, you turn to your phone, to scrolling and quick dopamine hits. You tell yourself it's just 5 minutes, just a quick escape. But what you don't realize is that in those 5 minutes, lust is whispering, feeding, growing. The algorithm knows exactly what you crave, even when you pretend you don't. The algorithm knows exactly what you crave, even when you pretend you don't. It's a trap that no one talks about. Because when you're hurting or overwhelmed, desire masquerades as relief, as a way to cope. It promises comfort, but it delivers chains. You delete the app, block the site, lower your gaze, but then the withdrawal hits, the emotional pain, the frustration, the feeling of being trapped. Your body and mind start to protest. You feel irritable, restless, heavy. That fire inside you that you try to cool down with lust begins to burn even hotter. And what do most people do? They feed it again, because they don't understand that desire, when misused, turns into a drug. The more you indulge, the more you need to feel better. The cycle intensifies. The cravings become stronger. The content that once disturbed your conscience becomes your new baseline. And suddenly, you're no longer in control. You're just a prisoner of your own habits. This is why Islam is so clear about the importance of avoiding even the slightest step toward indecency. Not just outwardly, but inwardly. Do not approach it. Do not flirt with the edge. Because every time you do, you're building a pathway that leads deeper into darkness. The Qur'an warns us to stay away from what might lead to sin, because repeated exposure rewires your emotional tolerance. What once shocked you no longer does. What once made your heart tremble becomes normal. And that's not who you are. That's just the fire inside you getting hungrier. It never stops unless you take conscious steps to put out that spark before it turns into a raging wildfire. Now, let's speak about the most dangerous trap of all. Lust does not just steal your pleasure, it kills your purpose. When you give in, you don't just feel guilty, you feel numb. Because deep inside you know you are meant for more. The soul craves meaning, connection, purpose. But lust sells you cheap comfort, fleeting moments of relief that leave you feeling hollow. Hours are wasted chasing pixels instead of your true goals. You dodge salah because you feel unworthy, too dirty to stand before Allah. You disconnect from your family, your friends, your own self. And when finally you sit in silence, the silence is deafening. The emptiness, the regret, the realization that your life has been hijacked by those fleeting pleasures. And here's the truth that Shayṭān never wants you to remember. The story of Prophet Yusuf, peace be upon him, is not just a story of patience, but of clarity. When faced with temptation, he didn't fear getting caught. That was not his greatest concern. His fear was becoming someone Allah would no longer recognize. His fear was losing his purity, his purpose, his identity in the eyes of Allah. And that's the real battle. It's not about avoiding sin for fear of punishment. It's about maintaining your identity as a servant of Allah, a person who upholds their dignity and purpose in this world. Lust clouds your vision, makes you forget your true purpose and shrinks your heart. But the moment you remember your true self, your purpose, your connection to Allah, everything changes. That's the key to defeating lust. To see beyond the temporary and to remember that your life is a trust from Allah, meant for more than fleeting pleasures. This last verse I want to share is not about punishment. It's about permission. Permission from Allah to start over. Permission to move differently. Permission to become the person you know you are capable of being. Because no matter how many times you fall, Allah's mercy is greater. No matter how dark the night, dawn always breaks. The cycle of shame, guilt, and regret can only be broken when you accept that Allah's door is always open, that His mercy is infinite, and that you have the power to change your story. The moment you finally say, I don't want to fight Allah anymore, but to walk with Him, that's when true healing begins. That's when the chains start to crack and your heart begins to heal. Now, I want you to understand something very important. If you've come this far, it means you're not just someone struggling with lust. It means you're someone who is finally ready to outgrow it, ready to stop being a prisoner of fleeting pleasures that leave your soul emptier than before. You're tired of the false highs, the shame and the guilt. You're tired of feeling like your dawn, your new beginning is forever on pause while your desires keep driving the car. But hear me out. Remember that your soul was never designed to run on shame. Allah did not send these verses to crush you. He revealed them to wake you up, to purify your heart, and to help you see clearly again. Because the moment you can finally say, Allah, I don't want to fight you anymore, I want to walk with you, everything changes. This cycle you believed was impossible to escape begins to crack because the truth finally hits home. Not because you force yourself, but because you realize that Allah's mercy is greater than any desire, any weakness, any darkness. When you accept that, you begin to peel back the layers of shame and regret, revealing the real you that Allah always knew was there. You become someone who is no longer controlled by lust, but guided by faith, clarity, and purpose. So if this message touched your heart today, don't let it fade away. Don't scroll past or forget. Instead, leave a comment. Write, I love Allah, to show your support and to remind yourself of the mercy that Allah has for every single one of us. Share this with someone who needs to hear it but might be too ashamed to say it aloud. We are all walking through the same storm, trying to find our way back to Allah's light. Let's not walk this path alone. Let's build a community rooted in faith, honesty, and hope, because your story is not over. It's just beginning. Remember, Allah's mercy is vast, His guidance is near, and your potential is infinite. You are not a failure. You are not beyond hope. You are a beloved servant of Allah who just needs a reminder that He is always there, waiting to lift you out of the darkness. So today, make a promise to yourself and to Allah. Promise to start again. Promise to seek His forgiveness with sincerity. Promise to walk the path of light step by step until your heart is free from the chains of lust. Because in that moment of surrender, you will find peace. You will find purpose. And you will realize that the true wealth in this life is not in fleeting pleasures, but in the love and mercy of Allah. Let this be the moment that changes everything. The moment that turns your struggle into strength. The moment you finally realize that you are not alone, that Allah's mercy is greater than any sin, and that your best days are still ahead. So comment, "I love Allah" below. Let's flood this space with faith, hope, and unity, because you are worth it, your soul is worth it, and Allah's mercy is never, ever out of reach. May Allah guide us all, forgive us all, and make us among those who turn back to Him with sincerity. May He illuminate our hearts with His light and grant us the strength to overcome whatever darkness we face. Remember, the journey to purity and purpose begins with a single step. Take that step today and never forget, Allah is always with you.